Hello everyone. We'll wait for 2-3 minutes. Let's others join. Hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome to second day of this webinar. So on day one, I was teach you HTML, how to add content in our web page and how to display the web page. Now today I'll be teaching you CSS. So CSS is basically used to style our web page. Am I audible, guys? Please reply. Okay. Is screen visible? Okay. So we'll be starting CSS tutorial. So why we use CSS? So CSS is used to define style for our web pages, including the design, layout, variations in display for different devices and screen sizes. So in this tutorial, I will be teaching you CSS from basic to advanced. The CSS rule consists of selector and a declaration block. So this is the basic syntax of CSS. This is the selector, and in curly braces you have declaration of our content. So in declaration also we have property and value, as we saw in day one's video, that we have style. In our element we have declared the style tag, and we apply the CSS like this. So here also we use the property and value. Just like that, we'll use CSS. This is the external CSS, and we'll use that using this syntax. First we'll use a selector and then this declaration. The selector point to HTML element you want to style. The declaration block consists of one or more declarations separated by semicolon. So you can declare multiple elements by using a semicolon. Each declaration includes CSS property name and value separated by colon. Each declaration consists of this name and the value, and both have separated by colon. Multiple CSS declaration are separated with column, semicolons, and declaration blocks are surrounded by curly braces. So after selector, you have to apply the curly braces, and then the declaration syntax is name, that is property, colon, and value. And if you want to add multiple declarations, then you have to separate that with semicolon. So this is the basic syntax of CSS. This is selector, property, and values, and they both are separated with semicolon. In this, P is selector in CSS. So we have seen that P is used to declare the paragraph in our HTML page. The color is property. As we have seen, we can apply the color to text using the color property. And the text align. So text align property is used to align our text. It could be center, left, right, or justify. So we'll see the example. So firstly, I'll be teaching how to add CSS in our page. This is our folder. Firstly, we'll create new file, and we have to save that file using, you can give any name. So I'll be giving style, and the extension should be CSS. After creating file, you have to include that file inside head tag of our HTML page. So how will you include? Enter the link tag, and inside link tag you have three attribute, type attribute, what type of file you are including. So that is CSS file, and in href you have to give the path of file. So our file is in the same folder, so we'll just write name of the file, style.css. So how will you check that the CSS has applied? So firstly we'll write code sample. This is selector. this is our syntax. Then color to blue, next light to same. So yesterday we have seen that this is our paragraph tag and this is how it looks. So after applying CSS, you can see all the paragraph tags will look like this. The blue color has applied and the justification is center. So this is how you can apply external CSS to our web page. The next is selector. So what types of selector you can use in our page? So CSS selector are used to find the HTML element you want to style. We can divide CSS selectors into 5 categories. Simple selectors. So the simple selectors can be used by using the name, ID or class of the particular tag. Then combination selector. This select element based on specific relationship between them. Then we have pseudo class selector. Select element based on certain state. When certain event occurs, then these pseudo class selectors will apply. Then pseudo element selectors. Select and style a part of an element. Then attribute selector. Select element based on attribute or attribute value. So these are the selectors, and the find means that we include the selector P, and this P, where this will find the P in our HTML. So we have 3P tags, so it will apply this CSS style to all our paragraph tags. So both 3 tags will get this style. Next is element selector. The element selector selects HTML element based on element name. So example, we have seen the example of paragraph element. So the element selector is basically select element based on the element name. Second, we have ID selector. The ID selector uses the ID attribute of HTML element to select a specific element. The ID of an element is unique within a page. So ID selector is used to select one unique element. To select an element with specified ID, write a hash character followed by ID of element. Example, suppose in the tag we use ID paragraph 1. So we'll write hashtag in our CSS file before the name and write the syntax. For example, we include the ID in our second paragraph tag. Now you can see that the custom, by using this, we can add the custom style to our tags. So this is how you can add ID to your tag. So the syntax will be our tag name and the ID attribute and the ID name. So you can add any name to our ID. In double quotes, you can add any. So you can add any ID name, and you can just customize our style. So this is how ID selector works. The next is class selector. The class selector selects HTML element with specific class attribute. The select element with specific class, write dot character followed by class name. In this example, all HTML element with class center will be red and center aligned. So this is class selector, where you need to add dot in front of the selector and then the syntax. So I have added the class name with dot. So the syntax will be dot in front of the selector, and I have mentioned the background color to blue. We'll change the background. Now you can see how we can use the class selector. So in second, we have used the ID selector. In third paragraph, we have used the class selector. So you can use the ID selector by mentioning the ID attribute and ID name. And in style sheet, you just need to mention hashtag in front of selector. And secondly, if you want to use class selector, then you have to mention the class attribute, class name, and in style sheet you have to mention the dot in front of selector. So these two things needs to be taken care, and if you just need to apply that to all tags, whatever tags are in HTML file, so you just need to mention the tag and all CSS will apply to that tags. So next we have CSS universal selector. Am I audible? Please reply. Is my voice breaking? Am I audible properly? Okay. So next we'll see the universal selector. So universal selector selects all HTML elements on the page. Syntax will be the star and our regular HTML syntax. So suppose we have to apply background color to all the page. So now you can see that the color is applied to the whole page. So star means select all the page. Okay, so we will change the color. So we have to change the color to pink. Now you can see that whatever we are applying inside this star selector, so it will be applied to your whole page. So this syntax, this selector is called universal selector. So whatever you are writing inside this selector, it will be applied to whole page. Suppose suppose we are aligning our text to right. So we have these text to center. So let's see. So why this applied to these text and not these? Because we have used the ID and class selector. So the priority for the ID, class and the internal style sheet is above all the external style sheet. So these are custom style sheet. These are custom styles which are applied to these tags, and apart from these, whatever the content is aligned to right. So that's why you cannot see the blue color in this section and this section, because these are custom selectors. This is syntax for commenting. Suppose you have written something and you just need to comment that. So how you can do this? Forward slash, then star and universal select. Suppose you want to add this information so that you can understand that what kind of selector you are using. So the comment syntax will be forward slash star and whatever the content you want to comment, and end with star and what. So this section, this is how we can comment our CSS. So now you have understood the universal selector as well. So this is the chart of all selector, like how you can use all selectors. So we have seen the ID selector. For that you use hashtag in front of the selector. Second, we have seen the class selector. In that you have to use dot in front of the selector. Then third is again one selector where if you have element dot class name, so you can use the syntax. This is p element dot, this is our class name. So you can use syntax like this also to select particular element. Then this is our universal selector. Then we have seen this is how you can select if you want to select all the element with specified tag. And if you want to apply these to multiple elements, the same style sheet to multiple elements. So you can use that by separating them with comma and applying same style. So I have so how to add CSS? When a browser read style sheet, it will format HTML document according to information in style sheet. So there are three ways to insert the style sheet. Firstly, external CSS, internal CSS, and inline CSS. So what is inline CSS? An inline CSS style may be used to apply unique style for single element. To use inline style, add style attribute to relevant element. The style attribute can contain any CSS property. So as we have seen in day 1, we have applied this inline style sheet. So how you can use inline style sheet? By using the style attribute inside the tag. And you can try that, but this is not the standard format. You can use this to apply the style to single element on. So this is the syntax. Next we have internal style sheet. An internal style sheet may be used if one single HTML page has a unique style. The internal style is defined inside style element inside the head section. So you can use this customized internal style sheet. When we have multiple pages in our website, so if you want to apply certain style to particular page, so for that you can use internal style sheet. So we'll apply style to H2 tag. So we have changed the color of H2 tag to pink background color by using internal CSS. So how you can use internal CSS? Inside head tag, you have to mention the style tag, and inside the style ending, starting and ending tag, you have to mention the selector, the normal syntax I have teach you. So this is internal CSS. Then the third is external CSS. With an external style sheet, you can change the look of entire website by changing just one file. Each HTML page must include a reference to external style sheet file inside link element inside the head section. So as I mentioned that inside the link tag, you have to mention the file name by using href attribute. So this is external style sheet. We have used this external style sheet to style our page, and by using only single file, you can style our entire website. So this is how you can mention. And if you have multiple pages inside our website, then you just need to mention these one line code inside every HTML page, and you can apply the style to each and every page of the website. Next we'll see margins. So CSS margin properties are used to create space around element outside of any defined border. With CSS, you have full control over margin. There are properties for setting margin for each side of element. So CSS has property for specifying margin for each side of element. If you want to margin top, then margin top, margin right, margin bottom, margin left, and all the margin properties can have the following value. So you can set the values to auto. So the browser will calculate what margin is suitable to your blog or your page. Then the length, you can specify margin length in pixel value, pt or centimeter value. Then percentage. Percentage specifies a margin in percent of the width of containing element. And inherit. Inherit is also the value which specifies that margin should be inherited from the parent element, and negative values in not allowed while specifying length or any value. Inside any value, negative values are not allowed. We add margin. Well, now you can see we have applied the margin to our H2 tag. Just like that, you can add margin to left. Okay, so we have seen margin also. So padding. CSS padding properties are used to generate space around an element content inside any defined border. With CSS, you have full control over padding. There are properties for setting padding for each side of element. So you can set the padding attribute to top, right, bottom, or left. So if you can add padding to individual sides also. So you can add padding to top, right, bottom, or left. The values are same as in the margin. You can specify the length using pixel value, point value, or centimeter value. You can add the percentage value also, or the inherit. Now you can see the padding has applied. So padding has applied. Padding to top also. So this is how the padding has applied to top. We can add that to bottom and left. So the next is CSS box model. In CSS, the term box model is used when talking about design and layout. The CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around every HTML element. It consists of margins, borders, padding, and actual content. The image below illustrates the model. So in this diagram, you can see that this is our content. So where the padding applies. So after content, the padding applies. So between the border and content, you can see the padding has applied. So between the content and border, the padding has applied. Then margin. Okay. So the padding is between border and content, and the margin is above border. So as you can see that this is the border of this H2 tag, and the margin has applied above this border, and the padding has applied between this H1 tag and this border. So this is the CSS box model. The next we have position property. The position property specifies the type of positioning method used for an element. So there are basically 5 positioning properties, which are static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. Elements are then positioned during using the top, bottom, left, and right properties. However, these properties will not work unless the proper position property is set first. They also work differently depending on the position value. So firstly, we'll see position static. HTML elements are position static by default. So whatever elements are in the HTML document are static by default. Static position elements are not affected by top, bottom, left, and right properties. An element with position static is not positioned in any special way. It is always positioned according to normal flow of the page. So next we have the position absolute. An element with position absolute is position relative to nearest position ancestor. So instead of position relative to import viewport like fixed. However, if an absolute position element has no position ancestor, it uses document body and moves along with page scrolling. So if you mention the position absolute, when you are scrolling the page, the element which have mentioned the position absolute, it will also be scrolling with the page scrolling. Then the position fixed. An element with position fixed is position relative to viewport, which means it always stay in the same place even if the page is scrolled. So if you mention position absolute, then it will scroll with page, and if you mention the position fixed, then it will not scroll with the page. The position will get fixed to the page. A fixed element does not leave a gap in a page where it would normally have been located. Notice the fixed element in lower right corner of the page. So these are the properties, position properties: static, relative, fixed, and absolute. So this is all about the CSS. Okay, then I will be demonstrating one small project to you. Clear till now? Okay. Okay, now I will be demonstrating one short project to you. So I have created this visa folder. Firstly, we'll create the .html file. Extension should be .html. Then we'll write HTML code. The title should be sample quiz site. 1 second, guys. Okay. So this is our sample quiz site. Am I audible? Okay. So next we'll be including our style sheet. So for that, we'll create new file and we'll save that file using style.css name. So this is file inside our visa folder. So how will include using link tag style.css. Now, as I mentioned, we have to apply the custom style to our division tag. So for that, I using the class tag, class attribute, sorry, and we'll name it as visit tag. And we'll close our division tag. Then we'll use simple heading tag to write our heading of the page. Then we'll use again division tag, and here we're using ID attribute. So the second division tag is used to display our quiz questions. So this is for the background and this is for the quiz question. Next we'll add footer. For that also we'll mention the ID code box. Okay. And we're using anchor tag. Give link of code clause sign. So this is code clause sign. So we're adding the link to this. So now you can see we have added the content to our web page. Now we can add style to our page. Add style. First we will use the body tag. We align items to center. Justify content to center. Then we use minimum height attribute, set 200. Okay. Now visible. Please comment. Okay. So next we'll add background image. So now I'll be showing how to add background image. Okay. So background image property and this value. We have to add value using this syntax URL and this I have this image. I'm adding this image as a background image to our quiz app. So I'm just copying the URL, pasting that inside the URL tag. You can also paste the, as we have seen that how to add background image. So we have seen that how to add image in our HTML page. So just like you have mentioned the path, you can mention that same path inside URL tag. You can also mention the URL or link of URL inside this URL. So you can see that the image has applied, but it haven't looked like this. So how you can show that? So we'll apply the background repeat property to no repeat. Okay. Then background position to center and background size to cover. Now you can see, you can clearly see the same image. Next, add text align to center. So all the text inside body will be aligned to center. So next we have this class. So how will you apply style to this class? If you have class, then you will use dot in front of selector, then set drag. We set width to 600 pixel and padding to 30 pixel. Then we'll add border radius 20 pixel. And then we'll set background by using RGBA model format. Now you can see the division tag has this background, which we have applied the RGBA background, the border radius. If you want to see border, okay. Sorry, let's set border radius to 20 pixel, and if you want to see the border, Now you can see that we have applied border to this is our division tag, and inside, so we have applied the style to this division tag, the background and the border radius. So next we'll apply style sheet to this quiz wrap ID. So how will you apply? By using hashtag in front of selector, then quiz wrap. We'll set maximum width to 600 pixels and margin to auto. So we have set the style to this class, this ID. Now we'll set style to our footer. So this is also ID. So you'll be using hashtag code box, font weight to 600, and you'll be setting matching top to 30. So now you can see that the font weight has changed, and this is also our link. So if you want to change the color and the background of these text, so how will you do this? Firstly, you have to mention the hashtag, that is ID selector, and then our anchor tag. As we have mentioned our anchor tag inside the ID, so the ID and anchor tag, if you want to apply the custom style to this photo class word, so how will you apply? First you'll use the ID selector and then this anchor tag. Next we will apply border, adding to 5 pixels, and background color of text. Now you can see that we have applied the custom style to this word, and this is our website. So that's it for today, guys. I have mentioned, I have teach you all those CSS attributes, properties, and all those stuff. Also, I have demonstrated one quiz live project. So in this project, we just apply CSS and we have used that in HTML page. So how will you play the quiz? We'll see that in tomorrow's lecture using JavaScript. So we'll complete this project tomorrow. So if you guys have any question now, you can ask. Okay, so Shiv Kumar asking what is difference between inline, external and internal CSS. As I have mentioned, the inline CSS we have right inside the tag itself. The internal CSS we use the style tag inside head tag, and the external style sheet we just use that by mentioning the path inside the link relation tag by using href attribute. So this is the difference. And the first priority will be given to inline CSS, then internal CSS, and then external CSS. Okay, Ajay Verma is asking what is full form of CSS. So CSS is cascading style sheet. And Janvi is asking which one is good to work with, internal or external CSS. So definitely external CSS. So if you want to apply the CSS or the style, if you want to style for whole website, so definitely you have to use external CSS. And in some cases you want to apply some color or some style to only certain page of your whole website, then only you have to use internal CSS. uh, Gundeti asking how to add image to background of page. I have mentioned how to add using background image and the URL. Okay. So I think I have covered all these questions.